Howdy, howdy, it's the morning, howdy, morning, howdy.
Howdy guys, and welcome to another episode of the Morning Howdy. Like every morning. Howdy. So today's topic is gonna be light. And without light, we would be living in a world of darkness. And if we didn't have eyes, well, that wouldn't matter either. But how fast does light travel? It travels at 670,616,629 miles per hour. So if you think about that, light can travel around the Earth 7.5 times in 1 second. And the sun, it takes around 10 minutes, for the light to travel to Earth. That makes me think about a lot of things. Now, when I look out into the stars, I see the past, and in different places in this universe, different lights. Like I look at one star and I look at another. It's like I'm looking in different time zones. It's like they're all on their. It's like I'm looking at a teenager and I'm looking at an adult in the sky. It's weird because I know like a universe could be younger, the other one could be older, and it gives out different type of light. And I see the light depending on how far that universe is from me and their time in the universe. It's interesting the way I try to go deep into the thought of light. It's very interesting. So let me tell you this. Each color has its own wavelength, and that's why it has this variety of colors. It's because when light reflects off a certain object, the way it reflects back, say red, is like a longer wavelength. It's slower than another color, like how yellow would be. And it's interesting because when light reflects off something, it gives off a color depending on the wavelength that comes after it reflects off of it. See, like this color, it's multicolored. But the fact that the wavelengths are bouncing off my shirt in so many different ways and I pick it all up, my eyes tell me and my brain, makes the image. It computes it in a way. And the way I see, what I find also interesting, that everything is not combobulated. Everything feels right. Everything feels, solid. It's not like, like whenever you get unconscious, or like not unconscious, you get really dizzy and your head's spinning. Everything looks like it's going everywhere. Your brain is affected. So you think about that. Then you get to think about how hard my brain is working to use my eyes. Maybe that's why we get so tired at night, so we could put our eyes to rest and really take in all the information that we take in. Because everything that we see is all information that we're gathering. It's like a recording on our phones. You can't have an infinite amount of recordings. There's just going to be too much data. We have our own recycling system of knowledge, and so does a phone. But it can only take so much. It's not the internet. When they uses the internet, it uses someone else's server. So the amount of data it takes in is, in a sense, sort of like I use it now and I'll give it back to you, and I use it now and I give it back to you, versus a recording. It takes it all in. We are a constant image of a recording, but the images we take in, we in a sense cut some out of it at the same time. When a movie clip runs in the old-fashioned type of movies, it would have a type of shutter. So it would do this, how the clips would be in the old-time movies. It would just constantly cut the film and it would re-show it the light. It would just do this over and over and over. If it didn't do that, the images would go too fast and everything would be a big blur, But now we have better technology and we don't have to use a shutter type of system for an old-fashioned type of movie. But we have eyes that blink. And when we do something, we tend to blink unless we're super focused, like into a fight where you can't blink. Blinking is a deciding factor into a professional fight. Let's just say that. Let me tell you something else about light. Light has no mass, but yet we feel it. we feel light, the presence of light? Is it the fact that we know that the sun is giving off radiation and we see the light knowing that it's touching us? So does that mean we feel light? Well, light is made from photons. But photons have no mass. But Einstein said light is moved with momentum, so then anything with momentum might have mass. But photons don't have mass. So this is an interesting topic. I don't think this is actually a solved one. But the fact is photons don't have mass. But if photons move at such a speed, you feel light. It's unmistakable. Like when we go out in the sun, we feel it. There's a noticeable difference. It's heat, but that's mainly the radiation from the nuclear fusion that's going on yada yada miles away from us. But how many miles is in a light year? It's around 588 trillion, 600 trillion miles. That's how many miles are in a light year. That's a lot of miles. I don't think we could walk that in a year. Or ever. A light year? What if you had the option rather to live 100 years or 1 light year? What would you pick, 100 or 1? First, you would have to know the difference in how long each type of year is. 1 light year or 1 regular year. Someone who had no knowledge would pick the 100, seeing the number is greater. But to live one long life. Maybe we live longer than we think we do, but the way we view time is short. But our time compared to other things in life is necessarily longer, and to other things it's shorter, but it's all generally around the same to anything that's living. We think about cells, and they're constantly growing, dying, new cells, old cells, waste, new cells, yada yada. And it's the same way with light. Light is constantly being produced and reflected, but light can stop. But always light is being produced. Say you turn on a light in a dark room and then you turn it off. Why is there no more light? It's because the light that was bouncing off before stopped. It's no longer in momentum. Or is it? What happens to the photons that are left out there after light is produced? I don't really know the answer to that question, but it's interesting to me that once photons are produced, where do they go? Is that the expansion of the universe? The things that aren't renewable, for say photons, are photons destroyed after light when you flip off a switch? Or do they simply die out? Do they simply fall to the floor? Do they simply fall to gravity? I don't really know the questions to that. But light is interesting, because without light we wouldn't be able to go throughout the day, and there's so many factors into light itself. To the moon, it's about 7.5 seconds to the moon in a second with light. 7.5 seconds. The moon is pretty far if you think about it. The moon is pretty far. Did you know humans are bioluminescent? And we actually create our own light. But our eyes are 1,000 times weaker for us to be able to detect the light that we give off. But there are other types of things out there that can detect us, our light. It wasn't until a scientist, used the infrared, machines that have been created that we give our own light. We produce our own energy. We produce our own, we're always creating. So think about it this way. We absorb light through the process of, vitamin D, to simplify it. We create vitamin D with light. So we absorb the light. And we always reflect light at the same time. We reflect and absorb. Do we keep the light forever? Does heat not have its own light? Well, we know heat does. That's one of the ways we see planets when they're really far away. It's the only way of detection. And there's a way to detect people when they're technically invisible. It's too dark. How do people see people? They use infrared light. We produce our own heat. We produce our own light. I don't know how far biochemistry will go in the future, or bioluminescent science, to sum it up. But I would like to figure out the finer meaning to an aura. Because there's always somebody out there that says, oh, your aura, or you look really bright today. You know, those type of comments. And it makes sense at the same time. Maybe something you ate. Maybe your mood brightens the light that we can't see. Maybe when we're mad, we have a different type of light that we give out, depending on the wavelengths that when the light reflects off of us, or the wavelengths we produce off of us. Tesla said, to know frequency is to know the secret of the universe. Frequency is almost everything, in a sense. We give off a certain frequency, we listen to frequencies, we see frequencies, and those frequencies are all wavelengths. And we all give off our own frequency. We all in a sense vibe to our own frequency, knowing that best friends are just, more compatible. These are different type of things that I've noticed when I really think about the science into it. Can we change our wavelength? Can we change our frequency? I feel like your type of mood, your whole sense of nirvana, your nirvana, is a way of your own enlightenment. And enlightenment is its own frequency itself. To not have stress, when you can, in a sense, when you contract your muscles, say you're real tight, say you got tasered, you're going to have a higher frequency. You're going to have, when your muscles are tight, your electrons, impulses are moving through your body. Things are happening. Things are going on when you decide to move, when you decide to talk. When I speak, it's a wavelength. It's just a noise. And the only way you can hear what I have to say is because you have eardrums that can compute. But if your brain had been hit, maybe you're deaf. Think about that. Everything you hear is the same concept of how we see light. It's all through a wavelength. And we praise the light. There's the light God. The essence of light is good. There's a lot of ways we describe light. And I'm not going to disagree, light is good. Dark is not as good as light. The fact that I can see is better than me running into trees all day. So what other benefits do we get from light? Well, seeing, vitamin D, better moods, heat, survival. And what we think of cold isn't even near what cold is. Right above our Earth, it's around negative 270 degrees Celsius. Right above our atmosphere. That's how cold it is. And we think 32 degrees is cold. Man, we would freeze in about 10 seconds out in space. Maybe faster than that. And then it's a vacuum to top it all off. Like, how lucky are we to be able to do that? And our atmosphere actually captures in the light. So imagine if we were in space and the sun was behind us. We wouldn't be able to necessarily, if there was no other, say, universe, it would be only darkness, because there would be nothing to capture the light in front of us if there was nothing in front of us. So we would see nothing but darkness, even though the light was behind us. Could you think of about that concept? That you would be able to feel the heat and the light, but if you were looking into space the other direction and there was nothing there, say there was a universe there was a black hole there, or like there was just something blocking that part of the universe, like cloud dust or whatever those things out there in the universe are, or whatever. They're just a myth. There, you would see nothing but darkness, and that would be scary. Then to know that if you could only turn your head, traveling through the emptiness of space, you would be able to see light. But the fact that there's nothing to reflect that light off of, there's no way to look to your right in space, and there's nothing to reflect the light. You wouldn't be able, unless you're looking at the light source. There's no looking or being able to see light itself. We don't have those type of eyes to even be able to produce the infrareds or whatever those other chemicals or type of wavelengths that the sun produces, the radiation. We can't see that. But it'd be interesting. I actually made a video about it. If that we were able to see that, we would be technically blind. We wouldn't be able to comprehend everything that we saw. And I believe it. I believe we'd be walking into an abyss of sunshine and light. The fact that our eyes are weak is in a benefit, because if it was too strong, it'd be too much to take in, and our brains are only so big. It's funny, we as babies, it takes longer for us to develop, is because we have bigger brains for our body size compared to every other animal. So when we come out of the womb, our brains are small. Our brains have to be small. It can't develop. There's no way for that to work, So that's why the development of a child is so long. And what's interesting? Babies get no light when they're in the womb, right? They get no light, but yet they still have those essential vitamins. So think about it. If a baby's in a womb, the mother would want to have sunlight to have the efficient nutrients of vitamin D, so the baby, in a sense, get it, but without having the sunlight because of the umbilical cord and everything. However, all that works. Isn't that interesting? That for you to have that type of thing, you would have to have sunlight, but a baby in a womb can have it because their mother can produce it for the baby. I feel like that's very interesting. Can you get vitamin D from a pill? I mean, I think there's some type of pill that you can always get vitamins in a pill. But that's also interesting that you can get those essential nutrients from another source than the actual source. When you eat food, you get the source from the food and the food from the sun. But when it's from a pill, it's just like, wow, this is created. But isn't a light bulb created? That we can make our own light. We have our own energy source that we can create. The light bulb itself is our own invention that's, guided us, in the nights. Now we have more time. Now we have more efficiency with light. And we created the light bulb. We harnessed light energy, which is electromagnetism. Okay? That's what light is. The waves, links of it. And we can pretty much wire it with coils, heat, electricity, positives and negatives, and we can store it into batteries now. We can store it, not just having an energy source, like a windmill, or a turbine. It's constantly moving, so there's, with movement, with motion, it produces energy, whatever the source is, the converter. But now you have batteries that can store energy into an object. I still don't know the full science behind that, the storage of energy, but we as humans can do the same thing. And the bioluminescence is part of that, because we can absorb the light, hold it, and then, I guess throughout the day or all the time, we produce it ourselves. That's why we need the sun. That's why we need light. Without it, we wouldn't be able to live. As simple as that. But wouldn't it be cool to, see people in a different way? It would be fun at first, but maybe we would just like the original way. You can't teach a dog new tricks, an old dog new tricks. So maybe we'll be the same way when it comes to like night vision, infrared. Oh, will we adapt in the future? The way we see light, will that be an adaptation to humans through all the new technologies that will be being able to produce? Say we see something once, that will live through a person's eyes through generation and through generation, through legend, and eventually through adaptation. Us humans can evolve just like any other creature in this world. The eyesights of all the other creatures, there's all an adaptation through the time of however, because the circumstances of the world is. A bird grew wings. A fish, in a sense, maybe even grew legs. Whatever the case is. The caterpillar grew wings and became a butterfly. Like, that's the concept. We can still. What is going to be our adaptation to the future when it comes to the scientific stuff? There's the thing about artificial intelligence, and now you can have your own memory chip, and so technically you could live forever. Like, I don't like the idea of that. I don't think you'll. If you could store light, you can store energy. Can you just store consciousness? So consciousness is energy, because without energy we wouldn't be alive. We need blood to keep the brain. So it's really all these different factors. And we don't even think about those factors when we think about light. And light is almost the infinity of all the factors that we can even comprehend, because without sight we wouldn't have been able to learn, to know the difference, and then necessarily not be blind. We technically have our own third eye. We're not like every two-eyed being. We're obviously more advanced, bigger brains. We can create things that we see without seeing them, like in imagination, in your dreams. What I always think is crazy in dreams is that light is almost being produced in your dream. Your eyes are closed, but yet you can see as if you're outside. You can see as if the light is reflecting off another being. You have light inside you. You have a dream. And it seems like you're outside in your dream. You can almost have a sense of touch. You have all these senses going through your brain. Is it all a manipulation of the tricks your mind is playing? It just remembered the feelings, remembered the sight. But how can you see something in your mind? How can it be so real if your eyes are closed? There is no light going in through your eyes, but yet your mind still produces these images. How can we produce light? Do we produce more light when we sleep? I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe when we sleep, we produce light, and our bioluminescence is enhanced when we sleep. And maybe whenever we become more vibrant, more light, more happy, more energetic, more active, we maybe can shine brighter and give off a better type of energy out there. I wanted to talk about light because all of us can shine bright. All of us have an infinite amount of potential. As long as we stay in movement, we can be seen. We can see ourselves doing. Light is always moving. Light doesn't stop. We got to be like light. We are light. Without light, we wouldn't be us. So we are, in a sense, light, like we are a part of this universe. Light doesn't hold the boundaries of wanting to stop. So why do we hold ourselves to stop trying? To not get our light to the other side of the universe? Like, why? That's what a light wants to do. A light wants to keep traveling. Keep going farther. And it will never stop. Let's be like light. Let's shine bright, To sum it all up, guys, I just wanted to tell y'all about some interesting facts about light. And I want y'all to have a deeper interpretation of it as well. To see the things that we see all the time, but into deeper meaning. And we can all do that. We can all see things in a deeper meaning, and we'll only have a higher explanation, understanding of the world we live in. And with more knowledge is, in a sense, more power to us, a higher, more potential energy to our kinetic energy. You know, before the sun produces light, it has a lot of potential energy building up, and yet the kinetic energy is the light. We can be the same way, exactly the same way. A constant build of potential and kinetic energy. And it's just one of those things where I'm just trying to share the wisdom, put some more vision in people's minds, put more vision in people's paths in life. And like when you are in nothing, an abyss of darkness, and even if you are looking away from the sun, you can still know the sun is there on your back. And maybe if you look to the left and right, you can't see it, but it's still there. The hope is always still gonna be there. There's without a doubt always light, because without us there is light. So there's always a way, there's always a chance. There's no point to giving up. There's always vision, and we have vision. Let's just utilize it to the best of our abilities, and never give up. And once you do harness, that momentum, that passion, that good sense of thought, like don't forget about it. Hold on to it. When you get hyped up, keep that feeling with you. That sense of when in a sense of words, you're on something. You're really working on something, and you're even talking about it, like you're hyping yourself up for words. You're hyping yourself up. Don't lose the hype, and don't hype yourself up too much where you're too tired of it. Use it. Acquire the good times. You know what I'm saying? Acquire when we see anything that gave us that motivation, that time and period, we remember it. The light, we store the memory. So let's use what we have with us, and prosper and become the best individuals we can be. Shine bright, guys. Howdy, howdy.